Hi there and welcome back to yet another episode at Station Road. Now it's actually been quite a while since I last did a video, or at least a video for the Station Road layout. Of course the last video was a layout planning video in conjunction with Sandling Junction. So today we're just doing a wee short update on where things are at with the Station Road layout. So as I mentioned, it has been quite a while. It looks to be around about a month since I last did a video on the Station Road layout, and of course that was around the Goodsyard area and the Goodsyard. So a lot of things of course have cropped up and got in the way over the last 4 weeks, and of one of those weeks I was pretty much out for the count with a rather nasty head cold, which fortunately wasn't COVID, but nonetheless it really did have me hunkered down and really not able to do much at all. So that of course led to a lot of catch-up work with my design work and also other domestic responsibilities that I have. So of course not a lot has happened on this Goodsyard area, but we'll jump over to the layout and I'll just show you just a few little wee small bits and pieces that I did manage to work on over the last 4 weeks. So I thought what I'd do is populate this area just a little bit with some wagons, vehicles, and pop all the buildings back in that I temporarily had taken off, so that we can just generally get an idea of the atmosphere that I'm trying to create here. And although there's still a lot more to do in this area, and that of course is coming up in future videos, but the overall appearance is certainly coming to life in some sense. So some of the elements that I have worked on since the last episode, which as I mentioned is now a month ago, and that's included a small bit of hand railing at the end of this office extension here, and I kind of felt that it really did need some kind of railing here. It's not part of the Metcalf kit, so this is laser cut out of 1mm high density black card, and then some additional strips up the side. And while I was at it, it was time to actually do these entrance gates here as well. So once again, these are laser cut, and I think these might be 1.2 or 1.5mm high density black card, and they've actually come out quite well. One thing that I sort of feel I do want to do to both these fences and of course the hand railing is dull them down a bit. I think they're just looking a little bit too clean and tidy. I have actually fixed them in, so I've now created myself of course a challenge, which is unfortunate, but nonetheless it should be achievable. One of the other elements that I added to was adding in some additional ballast around these buffer stops. Now there's one just in view here, but both buffer stops now have some heaped up ballast that's collected in around the bases of these buffer stops. So I still like to work a little bit more on this good siding area and probably add in some additional weeds. I think I want to tone down some of the grass patches as well, because they kind of look a little bit too monotone in some areas, so I think I need to add in some other tones of grass, and I might even sort of trim some of the grass back just to give a bit of a variation in height. Down at this end, right at the top of the frame here, you can see I haven't got as far as putting in a loading gauge in this area. I've yet to find something suitable that I want to do here. I'll either use a kit, as I mentioned in the previous video, wheels or ratio kit, or I may actually custom laser cut a loading gauge for here. It all depends. So coming over to this area, we're right at the top of the frame here, and I've added some further details into this coal merchant's yard. So where we'd left off, and I know that people would make comments about, well, there should be a set of scales here. Now I've now added these in, and I think they're from Model Scene, which is part of Pico. a little wee set of sack scales here, and I've also of course added in more sacks of coal up around this platform area as well. I've added some sacks of course to the back of this lorry, and I've also repainted the roof of the lorry. It was a white colour, which I did actually weather down, but it just didn't look right. So I've painted that in a sort of a darkish grey colour. So of course one of the next stages that I'm going to get on to, amongst many of course, is doing the ballasting in this area here. Now I wasn't going to do the same type of material of course that I did over in the good sidings area. This will be more of a ballast type material, but it will be heavily mixed in with cinders and coal, so it's probably going to be really quite gungy and black type material in here, but not as smooth and compacted as the Goodsyard area is. So I've yet to of course continue on as well with the overgrowth and so forth on the embankment where the road leads down under the branch line, and that will be a continuation of what I've already put together on the corner here, and that will spread down, and there's probably going to be quite a bit of overgrowth and bushes and so forth that are going to be clambering up beside the wire chain link fence there. So that's where things are on the layout at this stage. As you can see, not a great deal has really happened over the last 4 weeks, but I do hope to get into some of these aspects that I mentioned, possibly within the next few weeks if time permits. So one of the things that I mentioned in the last video, which of course was about layout planning and of course the sanding junction layout, which I've been working with Paul on, and one of the exciting bits of news of course is that I will be travelling to the UK. Now I don't know how many people might have actually picked up on that in that video, because I kind of tend to think that some people are interested in following that series, but then I think there might be a larger audience of course who are more interested in following what I'm doing as well on the station road layout. So hence why I think it's worth pointing this out, that come October, beginning of October, I'll be travelling over to the UK and spending 3 weeks there in the UK. Now this entire trip is selfishly devoted to trains and model railways. So of course on the cards for this trip is visiting the National Railway Museum, and then there's also a planned visit to the North Yorkshire Moors Railway, and then the highlight of the trip is I will be attending the Getz exhibition in Milton Keynes, and it's quite interesting that this actually ties in with their 10th anniversary. Now I will say I'm not affiliated with any of the layouts or the trade stands that will be there. I'm just simply there as a visitor to basically take in the atmosphere, to be able to scour all the trade stands, and of course look at all the fantastic layouts that will be on show there. So of course if any of you are attending the Getz exhibition in Milton Keynes, it'd be lovely to meet any of you, and by all means come up and say hello if you spot me in the crowds. So also in the trip as well is I'll actually be spending a bit of time with Paul in his place down in Kent, and we'll actually begin working on building this layout. So I'm assisting him over about a 5-day period where we'll actually take the plans that we've been working on and actually start building something up in his railway room. Now I don't plan on making a habit of helping out fellow model railroaders, particularly anyone who's not in New Zealand. It's just the way it's worked out because I'm there in the UK anyway. So it's going to be interesting, Paul and I working together on this, and of course there'll be lots of video footage relating to that, both on the Station Road channel and of course on Paul's Sandling Junction channel. So as I said, this is a very short update video, and I do hope to be able to get at least one more video out before I head off to the UK. So before I go, I thought I'd just like to say a big, massive thank you to all of those who've dropped in their amazing, wonderful and inspirational comments on the Station Road channel. Absolutely wonderful to be able to read through some of them. Unfortunately, I just haven't had time to respond to any of the comments of late, and I will endeavour to do so over the next few weeks. So I'll sign off for now. Do take care, everyone. Look after yourselves. Of course, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will catch you next time. Bye for now.